I think we have an interesting game in college volleyball, high school volleyball, club volleyball in the U.S. where we have a lot of subs and we can use a lot of subs. And I think it's really an interesting exercise when you start thinking about what's the right thing to do with that. And there's lots of different answers. And sometimes it's, hey, we want to play a lot of people to keep a lot of people happy. That might be a club or high school situation, and it's legitimate because you're trying to keep these people who are paying customers happy. Sometimes it's, hey, we're trying to be the most competitive we can be, and how do we utilize that? So I think you have to be very mindful and purposeful of why are you subbing. And I see a lot of people in the country just sub like it seems like just a sub. Little things like we're in a situation right now, it's early in the season. We've got a lot of season ahead of us. I'm sure our lineup will become much more fine-tuned as we get into this. But right now, we've got a couple of players that I think could be good 6-rotation players. They're just not there yet. If we continually sub them out, one, I think we stifle their development because they don't get the opportunity and the repetition. But the other is we stifle their mentality of they lose confidence. They feel like, hey, if the coaches don't think I can play back row, then I guess I can't play back row. So we've been purposely, kind of maybe leaving kids in back row in situations where it isn't in our best interest competitively right now, but we feel like a month from now it could benefit us. And a month from now it might not, but we don't know unless we try that. The other thing I think with subbing you look at is, I think people look at it as this all or nothing kind of mentality, like she's a front row player, but she's not a back row player. Or she's a back row player and not a front row player. So it makes it a 3-and-3 thing, 3 rotations. We've got a situation right now where we look at the game rotationally, and one of our rotations, we're a little weak offensively, and it's a 2-hitter rotation, and offensively we're a little limited. So we want to have a back row attacker in that situation. And Carly, who's our best back row attacker, is front row, so she can't be that person. So we're leaving our opposite 1 rotation back row just so we have that extra offense. She's a good defender. She's a good passer. She's a good server. So we're not going to lose a lot in that situation. But in that rotation, it makes us better because we have 1 more offensive option. The next rotation comes around. Well, our best back row attacker, Carly, rotates back row. Well, now we don't need that anymore, and we can benefit from having a defensive player come in who can maybe bring our defensive level and our passing level up a little bit. So we've got one kid who plays 1 rotation back row, and she's out the next 2. But it's because each rotation's different, not her skill set, and so I think that's, again, like we talked about, playing to your strengths, but also looking at the sub situation a little deeper into each rotation rather than just, can this kid play front row or can she play back row? But I think you also have to factor in the development side of it. As soon as we start limiting their ability to play back row, you kind of almost just halt their development. And I think that's unfortunate. Or front row. I think sometimes you got to give kids chances to do things that you maybe think they can't do and find out and give them those opportunities.